Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
That's right, you're listening to IPL Radio, and this is The Yarn, Homespun Arts and Music, with Sandy.
And Russ the Bus.
And we are joined today by Dave Johnson,
Yes, sir.
Who's going to have a chat with us about his album Inequality Boulevard, and also about Oneness 2-3, where Dave will be accompanying Lois Olney, who is a fabulous and local jazz singer from the Roeburn community. And Dave is her wonderful accompanist, as well as being a musician in his own right.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Lois wasn't feeling well today and was unable to come in, which is a shame because we would have loved to have had her sing live for us in studio. She hasn't got anything released on Spotify yet that we can play to promote her music and get our listeners listening to more local music that we promote.
Yeah.
But we do have Dave in the studio. How are you doing, Dave?
I'm good. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, Sandy. Russ.
Oh, yeah. Good
Can
to
I
have
get
you
you
here.
to just move that microphone a little bit closer to your mouth?
Yep.
That's
There we
great.
go.
Yeah, that's better. The levels are working a bit better now. So was it a long drive down?
Oh, look, I just had one of those mornings. I had to set up Clancy's for the gig tonight. Because I'm the sound person there, so had to get that sorted and then eat something and rush down. So I'm a little bit late.
Oh, that's
Sorry.
okay. That's okay.
But
We
at
have
least
plenty to
at least
talk
I'm not going to
about.
be stressed at the other end when I have a band waiting and they're
Yeah, who's
going,
playing
where have you
tonight?
been? We've got a really interesting one at Clancy's Frio. We've got the Hamilton Hillbillies, which is one of my favourite acts. It's a bluegrass all around the one microphone, but with some of the best musicians in the state.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, really?
Ian Simpson on
That's a
banjo.
big call, considering you see a lot of musicians.
Oh, these are very. I mean, Simo's been Adam Gare. I'm just thinking of I've got a name blank on the most famous Australian country music. Slim Dusty's
Slim
banjo
Dusty.
player for a number of
right.
years, but he's incredibly skilled.
Yep.
And so is Adam Gare and Tom Fisher on a double bass.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Fisher. Fantastic.
And you launched your own album. Was that your first album, Inequality Boulevard?
No, that was my third album. Yeah.
And you launched that recently at Frio Social. How did you think the night went?
The night went really well. I was pretty happy with it. I think my good friend Helen Townsend, just before I went, Dave, now just ground yourself. You don't do this very often, so make sure you take the space to enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just took that on, and I just went, all right, I'm going to do that. And so my nerves just went out the window, and I felt like I just drove it really well in terms of saying everything
That's
I wanted
great
to say,
advice,
presenting it well. And
Yeah, I came along. I thought it was a great
Yeah.
night. I was particularly impressed with Lois Olney. As
Yeah.
you know, I've chased her down to...
we're all impressed with Loie. She's
Yeah.
pretty wonderful.
Yeah, she's a fabulous jazz singer, and
Yeah.
I'd like to see her performing more. Have you guys been performing much lately?
No, we haven't had... We've done a couple of trips to Melbourne. We've been working with this really good theatres music company called Vinicane and Smith, and doing shows with them, part of their sort of cabaret theatre shows. And they've been fantastic. They've been sort of 5-week seasons over in Melbourne, which have been really, really good fun. And just a great learning experience too for me and Loie.
Yeah.
And we seem to fit in there really well. We've sort of... Loie has just wowed their audiences, and there's something
she's
about
pretty
Loie's
impressive.
voice
Yeah.
that transcends things, and she can really distill certain emotions, and often, leave an audience in utter sort of spellbound.
Yeah, that's how I felt watching her.
Yeah,
amazing.
And her story is amazing that she was adopted from the stolen generation, from her mum, and then she managed to get back in touch with her family because somebody saw her on stage and recognised her bloodline.
And left a note on a
saying,
pie wrapper.
Yeah, I think we think I'm your auntie. Please
Yes.
get in contact.
Yeah.
It was an amazing story, and it turned out it was her auntie. And
Wow,
unfortunately, her mum had passed not long beforehand. But she got to meet her father
and her sort of extended other family,
Roburn
which
family,
has
and
been a really important
conclusion.
important journey for Loie.
Yeah, yep. So tell us a bit more about yourself. You've been playing for, I believe, 20 odd years, and
I've been kicking around for a long time. Yes, you can tell by my beautiful silver locks.
hair. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean anything. My dad didn't start playing till he was 40.
Yeah, true.
So,
right.
He was the lead singer of a blues band, Indigo Duck.
Oh, right.
Do you know
Yeah.
You know Jeff Harrison?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my dad.
Wow.
But he's retired from singing now. It's quite sad. He doesn't have the strength to put on a full set anymore, and he found it. I noticed he got really depressed when he had to stop playing music.
It becomes part of your
that had been
life.
his joy in life.
Yeah.
So what gives you joy, Dave?
So what gives me joy? Really, I could be anywhere. It doesn't matter. If I've got one of my favourite things is when someone slips a guitar into my lap, and it might be like 1 a.m. around the campfire, and I'll just keep going till the sun comes up. I love that. I love that.
Exactly. It's great. Yeah.
Might play one of your songs here, Dave. What would you rather we put on first, Euphoria or Inequality Boulevard?
Let's put on Inequality.
Inequality. And do you want to tell us a little bit about, because it's the title track from the album Inequality Boulevard, tell us a little bit about what that means and what was behind writing the song.
Yeah, well, I've been, there's two sort of other roles that I've been playing. They're all sort of musically orientated, but one of them is I've been sort of running this choir singing group down at St Patrick's Community Support Centre. It's like Perth South Metro's sort of main homeless service provider, which has been a fantastic experience, and I really enjoy sort of getting everybody engaged in there, having a good sing, and but it's a really you're right at the coalface of inequality there. You've got all those people that are really struggling day by day.
Yeah.
And the other really big one is I've been working for this fantastic company, or not a company, they're a sort of non-for-profit organisation called the Australian Children Music Foundation, and they've been putting me out at, I've been teaching through them out at Banksia Hill Detention Centre and Unit 18. And again, there you were at the coalface of what I really see as, basic huge inequality in Western Australia, where you can have that sort of level of struggle and
there's
poverty,
much over misrepresentation of Aboriginal children in the detention centres.
Yeah, 70%.
Yeah, which is, considering the population is percentage is less than 10%. I'm not sure exactly what.
Yeah, it's a horrendous statistic.
It's around 3% or something of Australians who are Aboriginal, and 70% of the youth we're seeing in the detention centres are of Aboriginal descent. So it's really shocking, isn't it?
Yeah,
it must be amazing though also to see the other side of that. When you're bringing all these people together to come and sing together, you must give them a beautiful outlet for them to.
Yeah, it's. I mean, music is very therapeutic. So it's a really good thing. Just physically singing is a great thing for your body. But also just getting, having, loneliness is a really big thing, particularly with a lot of the crew down at St Pat's. So bringing people together in a group exercise that's non-competitive, and it's just the whole idea of it.
To sing about loneliness, together would be something exhilarating, and to deal with it in the face, and to know that other people are dealing with it would be therapeutic.
Yeah. Precisely, yes.
Well, let's go into the song. This is Inequality Boulevard by Dave Johnson. And you're listening to The Yarn, Homespun Arts and Music on IPL Radio. We're joined today by the wonderfully talented Dave Johnson, and that was one of his songs, Inequality Boulevard, which Dave was telling us was inspired by seeing the inequality at Banksia Children's Prison.
Yeah.
And at the homeless shelter in Fremantle, St. Pat's. So you've written another couple of songs, Rage. You've written a lot, but what we have here in the system, I put in Rage and Euphoria in the system because I thought they seemed quite
controversial.
Contraindicated, that they were quite opposite.
Oh, quite opposite, yeah.
Euphoria is about being happy and...
Well, no, Euphoria is just not about being... It's just... Euphoria is more about what we value, and I struggle with some of the things that we value.
Such as?
Whether, we've got...
social media and technologies. Maybe.
Yeah, and just we glorify... sports people and various celebrities, but there's these fantastic people, the people who the nurses, the people who do shit,
and
they don't get
accolades and followers,
the scientists, the people fighting for justice. So Euphoria is a bit of a statement about what do we value, why, and
why do what about Rage? What's that one about?
And again, Rage is I think that's very much it's a celebration of people who really do put themselves in the firing line when it comes to fighting for a cleaner world, social justice, climate change, trying to get movement towards making life on Earth sustainable. People on the front line.
Yeah. Your concert that we went to see at Freo Social when you launched Inequality Boulevard, that was a fundraiser as well, wasn't it? I forget which charity.
Yes, so
backing.
Just had a percentage of the ticket price going towards CARID, and CARID are the non-profit organisation that looks after refugees in Australia. So and particularly the ones who are on the visas where they really in a tough position where they can't work and they can't get any benefits. So, how do they eat? I don't know. Tough. Yeah. So CARID do a great job there.
Speaking of charities, IPL Radio is a charity, and we're putting on a gig. Friends of the Arts Inclusive Resource is my charity, and so FAIR, Friends of the Arts Inclusive Resource, is putting on a gig at Freo Social to raise proceeds for IPL Radio. And believe you and Lois will be our first act of the evening. Yeah,
we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. Can I ask what made you want to get involved? Because when I asked, it was a very quick yes, which was great.
So when I sort of got
what sort of prompted you to say yes?
Okay, when I sort of got the gist of what IPL Radio was about, I thought, that is such a wonderful thing. That's really good. So when you support local music really well, but you also talk about social issues which and people with disabilities, and also very supportive, and I think that sort of conversation on air is important. It's really important. So
what I love about IPL is it's open to everyone to come and have an opportunity to have a voice, to be listened to. People with disabilities, I have mental health disability, and people with culturally and linguistically diverse people with First Nations descent, are all given the opportunity to have a show of their own and talk about whatever that person is passionate about. We do have a talking footy, which would bore me, but Talking Footy
Yeah.
show, and we have That's Entertainment, and
Courses for courses, though, isn't it?
yeah, but I'm sure there are listeners out there for every subject, and IPL gives a voice to people that might otherwise go through life feeling unheard. So I'm really pleased that you agreed to come along to Oneness 2-3 on 18th of June. So that's a Sunday for those that are listening, and we'll be broadcasting live from the event. We'll be the yarn will be going from 12 till 5 that day, so there'll be a lot of local music played, and then there'll be art making and performance arts workshops. We've got Jack Davies and Lockie John who'll be presenting a songwriters workshop. Lockie John was trained by what's his name, John Butler. And Mama Kin, he won the Youth Songwriter Award when he was 18. So
Brilliant.
Some 5 years ago now, something like that. I'm not sure exactly how old.
Johnny's got the JVC, and he does a lot for up and coming artists.
Yeah, you're good
friend.
friends with John Butler, aren't you?
Yeah, we've known each other since he started when he was basking in Frio. I used to play with him, played on the Didgeridoo with him, and I was just spellbound by his music, like most people are.
Yeah.
And I went up and said, I'd love to play with you. And he said, oh, that's great, but lots of people say that. I play in D. And I was like, oh, Lenny, my brother, we had been playing music the night before. And he's like, your Digits in D. It's the same tune as my drums. That's the sound of the earth. So I was like, well, yeah, it's in D. So we played, and we never looked back. I mean,
well, Lockie was trained by. He won a mentorship with Bob Johnson, with John Butler, and Mama Kin, who is his wife. And so he will be wonderful to present the songwriters workshop. And of course, our regular listeners will know that I'm a huge Jack Davies fan. We play one of his songs, at least one every show. Because I think he should get paid royalties every week.
Yeah.
I write to him, I sign Love Your Stan, as in Eminem's Stan, the number one fan.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And so you're being involved to help support IPL Radio. That's fantastic. And so you guys will be playing at 6:30, I believe. For about a half hour, 40-minute set. Yep. Excellent.
And all you listeners should get on board and have a little look at is there a website?
There is www.fairwa, that's fairwa.com.au.
Yep, so have a little
that
pictures
stands
of
for
that.
Friends of the Arts Inclusive Resource, who are all about making the arts accessible and inclusive. And so there will be an art exhibition and an art auction on during the day, art making workshops, performance arts workshops, and then we have a Welcome to Country from 6 o'clock. And then we have the wonderful concert with Lois Olney and Dave Johnson, Lockie John and the Red Bellies, and then Satisfaction Guaranteed.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
Who are
What
guaranteed to satisfy.
Yeah.
They are brilliant. We had them live here in studio a few weeks ago, and they'll actually be back next week. And we had all four of them in here with their instruments, with
good
piano,
amazing,
just
man.
not the drum kit. The only thing the drummer was on an acoustic guitar, but we had all four of them in here. It was
Those
fantastic.
guys fill up the stage. I don't know how they fitted in here. That's quite a feat.
Yeah. Well, we might have a listen to a bit of more music. This is Dave Johnson's Euphoria.
Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL
Welcome back to the
Radio.
Arts and Music. That was Euphoria by Dave Johnson, who's joined us in the studio today.
Showing here.
And we're joined also by my co-host Russ.
Russ the Bus, hello.
And my silent co-host Clodagh, who's sleeping under my feet. Is that her making that noise?
Yeah.
Oh, she just said my silent co-host, and she made a little growl.
She's a gorgeous red setter.
She can throw her voice.
So, Dave, we were talking a little bit while the song was playing, and I asked you to have a think about the answer to the following questions. First of all, where is your favourite venue to play?
Look, I will be a bit biased because, I do work at Clancy's Fish Pub, which is a fantastic live music venue. I also have a pretty good sound guy there too, I've been told.
He's pretty sound. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love what Clancy's again. You know, give a lot of a lot of new acts come through Clancy's, which is a great.
They also
great
have a
avenue.
very extensive menu as well. You know.
Yeah, great
good
menu.
food.
Yeah, as well.
Yeah. In terms of best gigs though, like that I think I've done, Woodford was great fun.
Whitford.
Woodford.
That's
Yeah.
Woodford
that?
Festival in
Yeah,
no,
that's like
Queensland.
mini Woodstock over on the East Coast.
Yeah,
Oh,
up
right.
in Queensland. It's
Yeah.
it's probably the second biggest sort of festival, folk festival anyway. The other one was Cropperty, which was Fairport Conventions Festival,
Uh-huh.
in a little town called Cropperty, and that was quite an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Possibly my favourite gig, but that was with my very old band, The Fling, back in 2006, I think.
I'm guessing that's over on the East Coast as well.
That is over in London. Yeah, England, sorry, not London, England.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And the other question I wanted to ask
That's where I'm
is,
from.
who would you play with if you could say you were putting on your own gig?
Oh, well, you said I couldn't say people I've already played with.
Well,
Yeah.
you can,
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with my band.
but yeah. But
pretty
if
good.
you were, say, John Butler or the Cat Empire, or if you had pick a lineup, so you're with your band and you're headlining, who else is that on the lineup?
Oh, on the lineup, okay.
Yeah, and you
it'd
can
be pretty
think as big or as
diverse, I
small
think.
as you like.
I'd probably go Shane Howard. He's always been a big influence on me. Go in a band.
To go on the band, yeah.
Yeah. Neil Murray,
Neil Murray, and
he's-
what's band's he from?
Rumpy Band.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pardon me.
Neil Young would be a good one on the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Neil Young would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Prine, he's not around anymore. Lost him to COVID.
Really?
Yeah, fantastic songwriter. Just such a clever songwriter, John Prine. I've got a name blank again. Come pick me up, take me out, steal my records, screw all my friends. Come on, who is it? Who is it?
I'm not sure. I wish I
That
could
was
help
like
you
me
right now.
last night trying to remember Odette Mercy's name. I remember what her real name is, but I can't remember her
It's like
stage
me
name.
trying to remember 2 nights ago.
Sorry.
It's like me trying to remember 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
We've had so many good nights recently that they're all kind of molding
Melded
into
into
one.
one. Yep.
Yeah. Carla Geneve.
Yeah, Carla Geneve's huge. I love
She's-
Carla Geneve.
Yeah, such a great entertainer. And Abby May. Both astounding.
Oh, yeah.
I might
Amazing.
play a little bit of Carla Geneve.
We've got some amazing talent over here on the West Coast, don't we?
Yeah,
We sure do.
we really do.
And Fremantle.
Yeah, we do.
What do you think it is about Fremantle that is such a mecca for
Fremantle.
local music scene?
Well, I think, any
Starts,
cultural
we've got a lot of
centres,
venues,
cultural
so-
centres sort of tend to have a bit of history behind them, and Fremantle's got that. It's got the West End, it's got the old architecture, and so I know when I came from, I left Geelong in the 80s and with a backpack and guitar and started, just travelling around the country, busking and having a great time, and stopped at Fremantle, and it just captured me.
Yeah, I was the same.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, there's so much community in
There
Fremantle.
is.
Yeah.
It's very easy to, I found Fern, the Fremantle Environmental Resource Network, and I started volunteering there,
Yeah.
and just found that Fremantle just had what I was looking for, which was community.
Yeah. I found my
lots
people.
of it.
I felt like I found my people.
Yeah, that's how I
a
feel.
little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Free mentalites.
And we've got to say surrounding areas because we're broadcasting from Rockingham, so
Yeah.
we're very Freocentric on the Yarn because
Yeah.
that's where
Particularly
we're
right
from.
now.
We're all from there, so I'm going to play a little bit of Carla Geneve since we were having a chat about her. This is my favourite Carla Geneve song. I hate you for making me not want to leave the city. And you're listening to The Yarn, Homespun Arts and Music on IPL Radio with Sandy.
And Russ the Bus.
And we are joined by David Giles.
Yes.
Who is a Fremantle artist from Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
Swapping over the Daves.
Yeah.
Over the Daves.
Swapping over the Daves.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about yourself, David. We've been friends for a long time, so I know a bit. But for our listeners, where do you come from, and tell me a little bit about your art journey?
Where do I come from? Which star? I live in Rolling Stone, in Australia since '88, and background noise.
Oh, there's a background noise.
And I've got two galleries in Fremantle, as Sandy said.
Sorry, we've just got a background noise happening. I'm not sure where it's coming from.
Technical glitch. Sorry, Dave.
That's all right. So I've got, like as Sandy said, like 50 artists. So I've got 10 artists in residence, Studio 11, and then another 20 or so exhibit in the front gallery, and then I've got 25 artists in the David Giles Art Gallery in High Street. So been a practicing artist, exhibiting artist, nearly 30 years now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I remember I went to one of your exhibitions that must have been a couple of years ago now, or at least a year ago, was your 50th show.
Yes.
50th solo exhibition. And you've had a lot of group exhibitions in there as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
52 solo exhibitions. A lot, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I organise one exhibition a year and it's enough.
Yeah. Well, it's 30 years, so
Yeah.
it's like 2.5 a year. So some years were like good years, and other years just had one or two. Had my own galleries the last probably 15 years, I suppose. So half of that time, and exhibited lots of other galleries before that. Before I go on, I just want to pay respects to one of my artists, Eddie Beer, who recently passed away. Was very popular.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, very popular artist. Absolutely top person. Very friendly, positive, supportive person. He used to sell a lot of work from the gallery. Member of the Armadale Society of Artists, which is where I met them. But
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, it's all right. And
Condolences,
just give condolences to his partner and family and friends. He had been sick for some time, so it wasn't like a complete shock out of the blue, but always like a sad occasion. Yeah,
Definitely. Hopefully he's in a better place and somewhere peaceful.
Yeah, sure.
And tell, if you don't mind us moving on.
Sure.
Tell me about the artists that you have working with you. How do you decide who?
With great difficulty. So I have a great. I've curated lots of art awards and judged a few art awards, and the longer I've gone in my career, I think that art criticism is a real discipline, but I've become less and less kind of interested in critiquing other artists or trying to say what is good art or not so good art. I just see all art as that person's personal expression, so who am I to judge whether it's any good or not,
When we had Reflections on Resilience, you were interested in a couple of the artists there.
Yeah.
And then you took on, I know, Alison Bell. Put some art in, and I actually commissioned a piece from Alison Bell, Red-Tailed Black Cockatoo, because I really liked her work as well.
Yeah. So she's in the gallery. Yeah.
She's in the gallery now and selling.
Yeah, she sells quite well. Just needs to be, like a lot of artists, a bit more ambitious, I think a lot of artists are very modest about their
talent.
Their talent. Sort of goes with the territory. Two of my artists, Angelina de Glasses and Anna Cox, have got an exhibition at Rockingham Art Centre. I think that's the 9th, 11th of June. So,
and they'll also be submitting for Oneness 2-3.
Oh, awesome! Great.
I believe that was the names of whose numbers you sent me, Anna Cox and
they're both very active artists. Yeah.
So, what exhibitions?
Both full time, actually.
Both full time working as
doesn't
artists
mean that
now?
they earn a full-time wage. But
Yeah.
No, that's right. Full-time work with
That's just
very little
full-time
wages.
artists.
That seems to be what
And
happens
so
with
where
artists.
people can come and see your art anytime at the David Giles Gallery.
So the David
on
Giles
High
Art
Street.
Gallery, which is at 49B in High Street in Fremantle, is open 11 to 4 Tuesday to Sunday, and Studio 11 Art Gallery, which is at 11 Captain's Lane in Fremantle, is open 11 to 4 Thursday to Sunday. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Captain's Lane, I haven't discovered that one yet.
And yeah,
So that
there's
is,
quite a few artists up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that is, where the Roundhouse
Yeah.
is. So I didn't know there was anything to the right of the Roundhouse before I had my studio, but there's actually 4 cottages to the right on top of that
there
ridge.
is.
The old Pilots Cottages.
The
has
old
got
Pilots
a place
Cottages,
up there.
correct.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
they are, one is the Ollialballup Aboriginal Centre. One is Glenn Cowan's underwater photography
Amazing.
gallery.
Yeah.
And one is Studio 11 Art Gallery. Yeah.
I'll have to walk a little bit further next time I'm around
just
the
take
roundhouse.
those stairs up the hill.
Yeah.
It's funny with Friends of the Arts exhibitions. We've made our way around Captain's Lane because we started with Glenn Cowan's was
Yes.
our lead artist.
Yes.
For Kindness Emerging in 2020,
Yes.
and then we had yourself as our lead artist for Reflections on Resilience in 2021, and then we
Yes.
had Julianne Wade, who's, how do you pronounce it? Is it
Ollialballup.
Walliabalup?
Don't quote me on that though.
I'm gonna go with
Aboriginal
that one.
Centre. So yeah, we made our way around Captain's Lane.
Just
and
say
she
it
was-
quickly and sound as though you know what you're talking
Exactly.
about.
And
Ollialballup.
this year we're not having a lead artist.
No.
We're only throwing 23 artists this year that we've
that all?
personally selected.
Yeah.
Normally we've shown 25 artists but 100 pieces. This year will be
Yeah.
23 artists, 23 pieces,
It's a pretty
and
good
one
amount,
painted
really.
live on the day. And they'll be by auction. So that's at Oneness 23.
Yeah.
And David, will you have a piece
Yes.
in that for us?
Amazing, thank you.
And those pieces will be up for auction via silent auction.
Right.
And
Didn't know that. That's good.
Yeah. So
now you
we,
know. If you don't know, now you know.
they'll be all available for purchase during the day and the evening. We also have performance arts workshops and art making workshops during the day, some art markets, artisan and creative markets, and then at night time we have Lois Olney with Dave Johnson, who has just joined us just this afternoon, Lucky John and the Red Bellies and Satisfaction Guaranteed, all raising money for IPL Radio. So what about the event made
sounds
you want to be
fantastic.
involved, Dave?
Sounds fantastic, Sandy. Just it's great, all the things you do. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
We appreciate your support, being involved with our my charity
Yeah.
Sure.
tryings.
It's great. Everything you do is fantastic, actually.
I think the same about you. So, how did you start as an artist, David? When did you first pick up a paintbrush and decide, I am an artist, that this is worth, somebody will buy this?
Well, that was quite some time after I started painting. But yeah, it's interesting because I always think of, when I went to TAFE and studied art in '94, but really, like everyone else, I started when I was a little child, and I really always wanted to be an artist, and I was always buying paints and starting paintings. Didn't really finish many, but I was always buying art materials. I did actually win my first award when I was 11, like a school art award.
Yeah.
And but yeah, generally I think of that I started in '94 after I had a very dramatic near-death experience, actually. So nearly drowned swimming off the in the Southern Ocean near Walpole, and to cut a long story short, I went into full-blown panic. Thought, this is. 'Cause at first you kind of think, well, I'm floundering around here, but presumably I'm going to get out of it. And then I couldn't really find the surface. I was getting tumbled by very large breakers, coming off the Antarctic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to actually get out of this. So then I had a kind of very, vivid near-death experience of having conversation with God as a personified being, which was along the lines of a negotiation that I'm really not ready for this. I want a bit of notice about this, like my dog who nearly died the other day. And I'm
later,
like,
can I make a later appointment?
yeah, that's right. That's right. Can you make an appointment for this event, please? I need a bit of notice. Like, well, what will happen if I let you go back? Well, I said, I promise I won't waste any more time, and I'll do what I want, and I'll be good, which sounds kind of moralistic and religious, but
sounds easy.
But it's actually the same as doing what I want.
Yeah.
So you kind of think of, because you do actually see your life flash before your eyes, and you don't really think about what sort of car you had, or how much money you had in the bank. You just think about all your relationships and how kind you were or unkind, and
the real
think
value
about
of living.
The sort of meaning of life is really your relationships and loving relationships. So anyway, I kind of did survive that, and went. I had a bushwalking tour business. So it's not like I had a horrible life working in some yucky factory or something. I no sin to factory workers, but I had a bushwalking tour business, but I just wasn't prepared to compromise anymore on doing what I really wanted to do with my time. So I just packed that in and went to TAFE to study art. I didn't really think about having a career or anything. I just wanted to start painting. My very first class, had a little talk, then we're off.
That was pretty good, but it just had to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The teacher said to me, "It's not a race, David." I'm like, well, it feels like a race. I felt like I was on borrowed time, and I didn't want to waste any more time. She's like, "You're just going like the clappers, like you've got, like you're in a race." And I thought, well, I feel like my whole life, I feel like I'm in a race now. To feel fulfilled.
When I saw the Dalai Lama over here, that's his opening line was, "From the moment we're born, we're running to death."
Yeah,
he had this little laugh. But it is. True. But it's not how it needs to be.
No. But I do kind of live my life. This is a kind of Buddhist thing because my parents are Theravada Buddhists. But I live my life with death sitting on my shoulder even more since my near-death experience. And people think it's a bit melodramatic and morbid, but it's not really. It's really just saying it's just a reminder to make the most of this hour and this day, because you might get the tap at any time.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's just waiting there. It's just waiting there to tap you.
For me, my commodity is joy.
Yeah,
if
like that.
What I'm doing, I there's no point me earning an income because I'm on the disability pension. They just take it off you. They don't like people with disabilities coming out of poverty. So my commodity is joy. If I'm not there to earn money, I'm there to earn joy, and that's why I do this radio show. It's why I run my charity, Friends of the Arts. I also volunteer for solar dwellings once a week, because those things bring me joy. And if somebody or something in my life is no longer bringing me joy, I stop it from being in my life, and that includes people. If I find somebody is not bringing me joy when they speak to me, then I won't last very long in my life. Because
you're doing a great job, Sandy. Thank you very much for having us here.
Yeah. Well, it makes makes you a very fulfilled person, doesn't it? Really, it makes you a wealthy person. Really,
it does.
In the
I'm
true
very
sense
wealthy
of wealth.
and joy.
Yeah, very wealthy.
When did you sell your first piece? Do you remember
Well, I did sell a few when I was studying to other students and teachers. One of my teachers was Judy Lambert, actually.
Beautiful.
She was like, always saying, you can't just go putting paint on the canvas willy-nilly, David, and you really should be thinking more about this, before you just launch into light painting, because I'm a very intuitive, spontaneous painter. But then she'd say, well, how much do you want for that one? So she bought quite a few, but this was like $50 or $100 or something, So brilliant. It was just to get art materials when I was a student, and so finished in 97, and then 99. So I had my first exhibition in 94. Sold nothing, so that's a bit sobering.
It's been a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon for artists, and
Yeah.
it's universally disappointing because however realistic I try and tell people to be, everyone secretly harbours this fantasy that they're going to have a sellout show and be discovered, but more often they're more likely to not sell anything. But my second show, which was 5 years later, so it took me 5 years to kind of pick myself up and do it again, I sold the whole exhibition to one buyer, actually.
Oh, wow.
So,
Amazing.
so that was... So my whole career's been like that, just, flip-flopping. You just... so I've learnt to be quite magnanimous and equanimous about it, and people go, you just sold a $5,000 painting, why aren't you, like, getting really excited? And I go, well... I sold that this week, next month. Why not sell anything?
Yeah, that's right. You just don't know. Yeah.
So I don't tend to...
very ad-lib.
Yeah, I just review everything every year. And as long as I'm not making a loss, I'll just keep on going.
Yep.
Yeah, good man.
Well, we're going to cross to a musical track.
Sure.
I'm actually going to play a little bit of Abby May because she's playing on the 27th of May with Last Quokka at Clancy's in Freo.
Ooh, which song are we going to play?
We are going to play Carmageddon.
All right, then.
Armageddon.
Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
This indeed is IPL Radio, and you're listening to The Yarn,
Indeed.
Homespun Arts and Music. And we are joined today with the artist David Giles, who has very kindly agreed to submit a piece for Oneness 2-3, our upcoming art exhibition at the Freo Social on the 18th of June. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and why you're an artist, David. What
makes you want to paint?
What makes you tick as an artist? And
Well, that's quite a good question, and it's one I've been thinking about recently, actually.
yeah.
So when I first started, I didn't really know why. I was extremely compelled after my near-death experience, and I was quite addicted, so I painted every day, literally, for 20 years.
Wow.
It wasn't because I was committed or determined, it was just like... I just was always wanting to paint. So that sort of worn off the last five or 6 years.
Is it some sort of a therapy? Is it?
It's definitely I think art is universally therapeutic. So in my art school, it's really just a therapy group masquerading as an art school. Really, that's how everyone thinks about it.
Okay. Yeah.
And because it just gets, so my focus in my school and in my own work is focusing on the inner self and the inner creative side and that creative child. I just think, connecting with that is, well, not only good therapy for the individual, but I think it's the only way that we can find a way out of, impending catastrophe and extinction if we don't really start connecting with our inner self and
True. Yeah.
which is intimately connected with with nature, with Gaia, and with
and with each other
planet.
too. If you're not connected with yourself,
That's right.
you don't have a chance to connect with anyone or anything else, really.
Exactly. I'd love to see art classes compulsory for politicians before you get the job.
Yeah.
I'd like to see
Totally
politicians have to live on the pension for a month.
Well, good luck with that.
And see how they cope with that, or even New Start, which is even less than the pension.
That's right.
Because I think that they might have a little bit more understanding what it's like living in poverty.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyway, going back to like the why. My recent thoughts is and then as I say, it was like a compulsion, and then as it developed, I became very, like I say, interested in art as a form of self-therapy and self-exploration, and also a way of trying to live in a more creative, loving, sustainable way on the planet.
Yeah.
And a lot of my last few series have really been about solace of nature, return to nature, all about so the abstracted landscapes, really trying to not just show the beauty of nature, but the power of nature, and even like the danger of nature. In pre-agricultural societies all around the world, people had extreme respect for nature, but they also had a healthy
Healthy
fear of it.
Fear of it too, yeah.
And I think that we ignore that fear at our peril.
Yeah.
But what's happened interesting, I think it's interesting just recently is, well, it's just partly because of having a grandchild, my first grandchild. But
Congratulations.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So, the joy of my life at the moment.
Yeah, the new generation coming through.
And so partly kind of influenced, I suppose, by him coming on the scene and also by just the horror of the news and Facebook every day, I kind of just feel like I just recently went, I've had enough of trying to protest. I also saw this movie, actually. It's based on, it was based on very famous Bob Dylan, based on Bob Dylan. Yeah. Have you seen that movie? And in one of his characters...
Do you remember the name, or...?
I'm Not There.
Okay, no.
It's called I'm Not There.
Yeah.
So it's not an autobiography. It's kind of just a fictional movie. It's got different characters playing aspects of Bob Dylan's character, personality. But one of them goes, as a protest singer, I kind of think, well, as an artist, I'm trying to save the world and change the world and show people. Do you know what I mean? Trying to get people to appreciate the beauty and power and danger of nature. Yeah. But there's one scene in it where he goes, just spent my whole life trying to protest about the injustice and poverty and war in the world, and it's made no difference whatsoever. I just thought, that's just very sobering, really, isn't it? Because I don't think it's completely true. I think it's still worth protesting and speaking out, and I do think that evil is what happens.
Yeah, but I'm sure you have those moments, even as an artist, where you wonder what it's all about. You get such a high, and then you've got to have your lows as well. What goes up must come down.
So I kind of had enough
again.
one day, just a couple of weeks ago, and I just thought, I'm just going to paint really fun, joyful, childlike paintings, colourful, bright things for people to put on their wall.
Awesome.
No more kind of, this is, the sad world and we're heading for catastrophe.
Yeah, you have too much
this
of
is
that.
all deep and meaningful and somber
bit too
artwork for you to make you feel scared about the future and
Exactly.
feel like you've got to do something. I just thought, I'll just
have
switch
fun.
to cheering people up and do 2-year-old paintings for people
I
to
thought
just...
my painting that I did when we were with you was very 2-year-old. I went up to a class at David's an afternoon at his house, and it was to do a seascapes, and mine looked nothing like a seascape. And I was very disappointed in it, but...
I don't know. You see, being a 2-year-old is a great compliment in the Freedom School.
Yeah, I agree.
And, we aim for 2. Mostly we only get to 4 or 3, but,
I think
when we have show and tell and somebody I go, that's really that's almost like a 2-year-old. And they go, awesome.
I think adulting's a little bit overrated myself.
Absolutely.
But you do need to adult a little bit every now and then.
Yes.
So do you want to give a plug to your Freedom School, David?
Well, yes.
Tell us what it's about and how people can get involved.
Having an art school. Well, I've been teaching nearly 30 years actually, but I've been up at Captain's Lane for 12 years or so. So and it's really, like I say, a experience for people to connect with their inner child and their inner creative self and their inner...
lovely.
It's called the Freedom School of Painting. People come along and they go, they're all everyone's so nice, and then they swap to another group and they go, everyone in the other group's nice. And I'm like, they're all nice, They're all, but you've got to be careful when you're marketing something, how you market it. So I'm really explicit about what I'm offering, I'm not offering what size brush to use and which Viridian green to use, which green to use to make it realistic leaves. I'm about trying to facilitate people to find their own voice through connection with their inner self and their inner creative self or their inner child. It's 8-week terms.
Rather than guiding them through it.
And a lot of people,
a little bit.
a lot of people in my galleries have come through the school, in the past. Not all of them, but
Great.
Some of them. So that's, I don't have many artists earning like a wage, but You know,
Well, that's art sometimes, isn't it?
the
Unfortunately,
practicing artists.
they should be paid more, but yeah, it's a funny old game, really. The arts.
Well, I think in Ireland they have got grants for artists. Call yourself an artist, and you can get like a
wage.
Yeah, a wage.
Yeah.
Yeah, they give you a wage for 2 years or 3 years. Yeah, so you can do that in Australia, applying for grants. But I think in Ireland, you
grants
just
are really hard to get.
just say you're an artist, and you automatically get it.
Also,
Don't quote me on that.
in Ireland, there's more Dudist priests than there are actually Catholic priests. So
Really?
you can go online to dudism.com and you
Right.
can become ordained as a Dudist priest. If you haven't checked that out, it could be worth having a look at.
Right.
I'm Reverend Rusbus. I've been ordained as Reverend
Reverend.
Rusbus. I'm a Dudist priest. It's all based on Dudism, based on the Big Lebowski movie. It's all about being a good dude and having fun basically.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
And
So yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I just
my
think
coffee.
just used to pull my hair out when the WA government decided to lump art along with sport and local government and
Yeah.
infrastructure or
What a
something.
disaster.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like as though it's just some sort of little recreational activity that people do. Whereas really, I think art and creativity is the beginning, middle, and end of human
for
history.
me,
Yeah,
And
you can't
how-
just cancel the fun and
No.
funding.
Life's no joy without
funding.
art and music.
That's right.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
what brings me joy is
Exactly.
practicing art, viewing art, and going to see music. Speaking of going to see music,
Yes.
27th of May at the Bird, we've got Joan and the Giants. So why don't we have a little listen to The Weekend by Joan and the Giants?
Great
And when we
idea.
come back, we'll be saying our goodbyes to David Giles.
Yeah, the weekend's nearly over.
Coming to you from Rockingham, IPL Radio.
And we're
we
listening
are.
to The Yarn, Homespun Arts and Music on IPL Radio with Sandy.
And Russ the Bus.
And my silent co-host Clodagh, and of course we're joined by David Giles, who is a artist from Fremantle with 2 galleries in Fremantle, one at 11 Captain's Lane, which is up past the Roundhouse to the right hand
To the
side.
stage left.
Yep, stage right. Well, it depends if you're facing the ocean or
stage
facing
left. If you're on the stage, it's
facing
on the
High
left.
Street. And you can also find his studio down in High Street, his gallery, I should say, down in High Street, which not only shows the beautiful work of David Giles, but did you say
25.
25 of his artists in residence, or so to speak. David,
Amazing.
tell us, before we say goodbye, where can people find you? Do you have it besides at the gallery or the studio?
So you can just go to davidgilesartgallery.com and find my phone number and email there.
Excellent.
No worries.
Good.
Yeah.
And I know Dave's a very friendly guy because he's been lovely to me ever since I first approached him in 2021 to be our lead artist for Reflections on Resilience in 2021.
Yeah.
And now he's putting in a piece to be auctioned off in a silent auction at Oneness 23 on the 18th of June.
Thank you very much,
Thank
David.
you so
Yeah,
much for that.
Very generous of you.
Thank you for organising it. It's
Do
really
you
great.
have any other exhibitions coming up?
Well, we've got the Armadale Hills Open Studios
Yeah.
coming up on the 10th to the 19th of November. So that's a good opportunity to see my home studio and home gallery in Rolling Stone. So that's not normally open, just for the open studios once a year.
Yeah.
Lovely up in the
so-
hills.
And there's a number of studios that will be open
Yes.
throughout the region. Is that Rolling Stone through to Armadale?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Armadale Hills Open Studios, all the way from Gosnells through to Byford,
Yep.
Wow.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming
You
in,
can do
David.
quite a
Thank
bit
you
of-
so much.
And I'll see you again next month
Thank you.
for the bump in for Oneness.
Awesome.
23.
Look forward to it. Well done for
Me
organising it,
too.
and thank you
Oh,
so much
thank
for having
you.
me today.
No
It's been
problem.
great to be here.
Thank you.
We've
Thank you,
got
David.
one more song we're going to play before we stop broadcasting for the day. Just a heads up for anyone that was going to tune in at 4 o'clock for Albie's Easy Breezy Sunday afternoon. He's not feeling so well today, so he won't be in. But I'm going to play a song from Satisfaction Guaranteed, who will be headlining Oneness 2-3 at Frio Social on the 18th of June.
Not
and
to
they're
be
also going to be our special guests here in the studio next week. week. So it's a good one to tune into. And
they're
let's
quite
have a
the
listen
show.
to Can't You Hear Me Calling by Satisfaction Guaranteed. And that's us for the day, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning in.